This is Advice for Life with Dr. Cathy, and I just wanted to have a short, quick video today about just something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and something that I see a lot, something that can cause real problems in our life, can hang us up for years, and I just wanted to kind of address it. But what do we do when God says no? When we have asked and asked and asked, but God says no? How do we handle that? How do we respond to God? What I see mostly is, unfortunately, people get upset with God. They are angry with Him. If they come into counseling, we can talk about that. Of course, God is big enough that He can handle us being angry with Him. He understands that we can't see everything. He understands that there are pieces of the puzzle that are not clear to us yet, and that we may have some misunderstanding in how we need to approach Him sometimes. Sometimes we're immature. Sometimes we're just hurting so bad that we just cannot see how God told us no. Especially when we're trying to live for Him, we're trying to do it His way. Another thing I see, though, is people who will put God to the test. They will want something, and they will ask God for it. And when God says no, they say, well, I tried to do everything right for like 6 weeks or 6 months. I went to church. I was nice to people. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I didn't do these things. And God didn't do what I wanted Him to do. And therefore, I'm mad at Him. I'm not going to have anything else to do with Him. Well, that's the wrong kind of attitude. And that is an attitude where you just wanted God to be a Coke machine in the sky and do something for you that really did not line up with His love for you. And you had not learned the lesson. So that's another type of thing. But today I just want to talk about something that happened to us where God said no. And I had to learn some hard lessons through that. And I had to learn how to approach God when He says no. And so I hope this helps someone. But for many years we were told that we could not have children, and I wanted to try to do foster parenting. And so we went through this process of doing the foster parenting. We were really excited. We went through the special needs avenue, where we knew we would get a child that was really struggling, that had had some problems emotionally, or maybe some physical abuse or sexual abuse, and it would be difficult. But so we got some special training so we could do that. And this, at our heart, our desire was to just bless a child, because we had a home that was blessed, we had a marriage that was blessed, and we just wanted to bless a child. So we went through all the avenues, we jumped through all the hoops. We felt like God was opening up the windows of heaven. He was beginning to put pieces in place. And then one day, in an emergency, they called and said, we have this little boy. He's 5 years old. He's been severely damaged. He has what's called reactive attachment disorder. And we want him to come and live with you today. There was no trial period. There was no meeting. There was nothing. He's in an abusive foster home, and we need him to come and live with you today. Are you ready? Well, we said, okay. So we let them come, and we had lunch together. The very first thing he did was when he wanted to get attention or show out, he would soil himself. So the very first thing that happened that day was he had done that to see how we would respond. When we responded in love, it was a different ballgame for him. Before, the reason he was being moved from the home that he was in is because when he would do that, even if it was in the middle of the day, he would be made to clean himself up at 5, and then he would be made to go to bed for the rest of the day with no dinner. So he was an abused child put in the system, who then later became abused again. This was a very severe case, and a very hard situation. Later on, he told me that the first day he met me, he knew that I loved him. And I said, why? And he said, because you cleaned me up. And for a 5-year-old to say, you cleaned me up, that was unbelievable. That was something that he had not experienced from a safe woman in his life who was a mother image. So we went on for 3.5, almost 4 years, with the belief that God was going to let us adopt him. We were getting close. We had been approved by several different adoption boards to be able to do that. And one day something happened, and he told someone that he wanted to go to a dark place. That person thought that he meant suicide. I don't know. I was not there. It was one of the social worker relief people, because he was having a problem at the time. And they put him in an institution. Well, when they put him in an institution, they shut us out and shut us down. And we had no rights because we had not adopted him yet. And God essentially, in a moment, told us no. Now, here we are in the ministry. All we wanted to do was love a little child who had been in our home for almost 4 years. And our heart's desire was to do something loving and kind that God, we felt, was calling us to do. And God said, no, this is not for you. And he put every roadblock in our path so that we could not adopt this child or be with him or talk to him even. And since then, we found out that there were lies that were told, and there were things going on that were out of our control. We had no idea this was going on. There was a delusion that was sent to make sure that this did not happen. And we know now why, but it took 18 years for us to know why. But at the same time, the thing that went through my head was, God, I'm not wanting to do something that's selfish. I'm wanting to do something that's honorable before you. And you tell me no. And my first thought was, what kind of God are you? And that's what happens a lot of times. When God tells us no, the first thing we think of is, who are you? What are you up to? Why would you do this evil thing to me? And so we can get into a stance where we stand up against God and say, you are evil. I don't want anything to do with you. And unfortunately, some people stay in that loop for a very long time. They can waste years in that loop. It becomes a trap that the devil uses to take people down a road that they never even thought possible as a result of a no. And one thing that happened to me was, I was in a restaurant and I did say to God, if this is the kind of God you are, then I want nothing to do with you. You are evil. I said that. In that moment, God in his grace, he let me feel what it was like to be without him. When he did that, I was so sickened that I had to leave where I was, and I had to go and make that right immediately. I thank God right now that he let me feel that, because that feeling without him, I could not stand it for more than 5 minutes. It was that emptying that I could not stand it. And today I'm so grateful, because if I had stayed lost in that for a long time, I would not be experiencing the life that I'm experiencing now, the joy that I'm experiencing, the things that God is doing through me as a result of that no, the things that I'm able to process with my own daughter that God gave us later in life, our miracle. And I have no idea why God says no in your situation. In my situation, later on, he did let me know that that was a dangerous place for us to be in that relationship with that young boy later on in life. And only God could have seen that. And I still pray for him, and I still trust that God is doing something. But I had to let it go, and I had to realize, in that moment, I had to realize that God never calls us to do 100% of anything. Some people think that because you begin something, you have to finish it. No, I was called in that moment, in that time, for that space, to be that child's mother and to do my job in that moment. And then God said, after that's done, I need to do something different with him. And I'll do something different with you as well. But once we hold on to something, we think that we have to do it to completion. If God didn't tell you to do it to completion, don't do it. Don't stay there. Don't stay trapped. And there's some scriptures I want to talk to you about. In James 4:7, it says, "Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." It says, submit yourselves. When we get a no, the first thing that we should do is say, God, I don't understand, but I know you love me. So I know that there must be a reason, but I'm having a very difficult time. This is something I can help you with here at Beautifully Broken Counseling. It's something that we walk through all the time. Just because God says no does not change his love for you one bit. Actually, it's him loving you even more because he knows and sees something that you and I cannot see. And when we come at him with our fist held high, we get nowhere. We just spin our wheels and we waste years when we could be doing something for the kingdom that matters. And then in James 4:10 it says, humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up. I tell my clients when they've gotten a no, and they don't like this word, but it is true, you have to come to your place of surrender. I call it your Isaac moment. It's that place where you say, God, I don't know what you're up to, but I trust that you will provide what I need when it's time. And surrender is like one of those dirty words to somebody who's hurting, because they believe that if they surrender, then they're giving up their hope. No, you're not giving up hope. You're transferring your hope. You're transferring your hope into God that he is still going to be good to you. So if you're needing help and you've gotten a no, then give us a call at 615-332-4389 at Beautifully Broken Counseling, and we can help you. Sometimes we get a no because the other people in the puzzle will not participate with God's plan. That's not really a no from God. It's a no from the other person. So we have to just wait that out. And the best way to wait that out is to surrender your own will and say, God, I can't see, but I know that you are in control and you are working things out that I cannot understand, and that I'm going to trust you above my own eyes. And I saw another scripture here that says, let's see if I can find it. Okay, Matthew 6:33. It says, but seek first the kingdom of his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Some of the things we seek for and we look for, God sometimes has to give them to us in a different avenue, in a different path. So we have to seek his face, seek his kingdom. We do that through his word, and then he can help us find our way. All right, I hope this gives you some hope, because hope deferred makes the heart sick. The Bible tells us that as well. And that is a terrible place to be. But there is hope here. And if you'd like to give us a call, call us at 615-332-4389 at Beautifully Broken Counseling. And I hope you have a blessed day. And I'm praying that the desires of your heart will line up with God's desires for your heart, and they will happen. But that you will also be able to handle it when he says no, and understand that he loves you very much. Thank you, and have a blessed day.